Hey guys, it's John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. We've been having lots of challenges with Restream the last few days. So we've actually been going to recording mode and then later on broadcasting out. I'm hoping they will fix this soon. Don't know, but right now, tonight's show is actually airing in a few minutes, and then this will air a little bit later. So that's actually last night's show, really. So welcome everyone to Inspirations for Your Life. Just want to welcome you today to the show. If you're new here, definitely a big welcome to you. If you are not new here and you're coming back, well, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming here. Really do appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. And if you're thirsty, why not go grab yourself something to drink? Maybe you have some water, like I have some RO water here. Maybe some juice, maybe a piece of fruit, or anything else that you like, piece of cake, maybe something sweet, maybe some nuts or something else. So feel free to get that and hurry on back. And do check out after the show, not now, check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, of course, inspiring creations. So without any further ado, guys, let's just kick this show off. All right. Keeping my fingers crossed that we do not have any audio or camera timeouts that seem to be happening. And it looks like the issue has been happening because there's an issue with Instagram. And because Restream doesn't isolate their feeds, well, it just kind of knocks the whole thing out of whack. So that's kind of what happens. So I think live stream tomorrow, and we're going to stay away from Instagram for a while until we make sure that that's smooth, because that seems to be that was probably the culprit. So welcome everyone to Inspirations for Your Life, where I dive very deep into practical strategies, mind shifts, and leadership principles that empower you to take control of your career, your growth, and your life. I am John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, graduate student, a lifelong learner, and of course, a coach beside a host here that loves to explore how we can act decisively and act and lead with purpose. See, every move you make can spark momentum, inspire your team, and create lasting impact. So you ready, guys? Let's dive in. So number one, don't hesitate, act. Opportunities are fleeting, and hesitation can cost you more than you probably realized. When you see a chance to move forward, the fastest way to gain momentum is to act immediately. Taking bold steps, even if imperfect, creates a chain reaction. That opens doors and builds confidence and signals that you're a doer, not a thinker. Now, of course, we have to have thinkers, right? But thinkers need to also be doers. We can't just think and not do. Number two, guys, speed, perfection. Perfection is often the enemy of progress. Waiting for flawless conditions or an ideal plan delays results and risks losing opportunities. Leaders who prioritize speed over perfection learn faster, adapt quicker, and stay ahead of competition. Quick decisions, of course, refined over time, often outperform the delayed, how can I say, perfection. So number three is trust your gut. We've said this once before. Intuition is a compass shaped by experience. And while data and analysis are important, sometimes your instincts know the right direction before the evidence does. Trusting your gut encourages boldness, reduces hesitation, and strengthens your decision-making muscles. Over time, you'll notice patterns and instincts align with, well, true results, guys. True results. But it does take some time. Number four, bold beats cautious. Playing it safe rarely leads to transformation. Bold actions, calculated risks taken with confidence are what create breakthroughs in life. When you act decisively, you inspire others, you command respect, and you seize the opportunities. And others are oftentimes too cautious to touch. Boldness often unlocks doors that caution keeps closed. I think that's the difference sometimes between somebody who's successful and somebody who is on the fence to becoming successful. Number five, guys, Opportunities fade fast. The window for action doesn't stay open forever. Whether it's a business deal, a new venture, or a creative idea, delays can allow others to claim what could have been yours. By acting swiftly, you capture value before it disappears, demonstrating agility and focus that sets you apart in any competitive environment. I think that's a very important thing to realize, guys, is that environment. So remember that. Number six, overthinking kills. Analysis paralysis, right? You've heard of that before. Drains the energy and stalls the progress. While thoughtful planning is valuable, obsessing over every scenario often leads to inaction. Leaders who simplify choice, trust their judgment, and move decisively overcome obstacles faster, maintaining momentum even in those uncertain types of environments. Decisiveness signals confidence to your team and ensures energy is channeled toward execution rather than doubt. It looks like we just got a little pop up there from Restream saying that audio had a problem again, but don't know why that keeps happening. So it looks like that happened and then it just kind of went away. But we are still connected, so that is a good thing. So you're making that decision. It's only half the battle, as I said. And number 8 is inspire with action. Words can motivate, but actions ignite change. Leaders who model decisive behavior inspire, okay, um, teams to follow suits. By showing courage, initiative, and follow through, you set a standard that others emulate, creating a culture where action is valued over endless discussion. Number 9, intentional, not reckless speed without strategy is chaos. Acting intentionally means each step you take aligns with a larger goal. This ensures momentum is productive, resources are used wisely, and risks are measured. Intentional action is fast, smart, and impactful. So let's take advantage of that, guys, in life. Number 10, pick, act, pivot. No plan is perfect. The most effective leaders choose a path more forward and adjust based on feedback. This iterative approach allows you to gain clarity, test assumptions, and refine strategies without getting stuck waiting for a perfection solution that may appear. Number 11, guys, confidence spreads. Your self assurance doesn't just help you, it influences everyone around you. See, teams, and when you act decisively, others gain courage, trust, and motivation. Confidence is contagious, multiplying the impact of every action you take. Number 12, fix mistakes fast. Mistakes are inevitable, but lingering on them is optional. Swiftly acknowledging errors and correcting course prevents small problems from becoming major setbacks. Leaders who address issues immediately demonstrate accountability, maintain credibility, and of course, keep momentum alive. And I think that's what we all want here, isn't it? Number 13, action drives growth. Learning, skill development, and success, it doesn't happen passively. They require movement. Action fuels experience, and that creates feedback loops and accelerates growth. Even small steps compound over time, turning consistent effort into measurable progress and long term achievement. I think that's the name of the game, guys. And number 14 is leaders always act fast. Leadership demands initiative. Waiting for direction or permission limits one's potential. Leaders who step up and act first not only sets the tone for their team, but also claim the advantage in the high stakes situations. Proactive decisions demonstrate courage and, of course, some vision. Number 15, smooth moves equals big results. Every minor decision, habit, or action I think that's something for a lot of people. It looks like we got another issue here with the Restream. Device unexpectedly stopped. We keep getting that, and we keep only getting that in the software. I have to tell you, we did reach out to their support team, and this is the problem when you deal with a lot of these kind of like not the major players. And like I said to you, we're probably going to have to eventually dump Restream. We had to dump StreamYard. The reason is, we're growing as a podcast, and the way that they respond to us, it's just terrible. I mean, they say they're going to get back to you in 2 or 3 days. I mean, that's just terrible. That's like really terrible. So I think the writing is on the wall that we need to leave Restream probably soon, because we're getting to a point where, they're not providing a high level of service. But, switching to another provider is not the easiest thing in the world. But I have to tell you, the support we used to get from StreamYard was impeccable. And then what happened is, the two kids that started the company, they basically sold the company, and they said they were still going to stay involved, but they didn't. They spoons. And I got to tell you, they own Meetup, and their support is it's just terrible. When they took over, the 800 phone numbers were no longer available. You couldn't call them for support. They did this stupid, I think they call it like some type of a chat system. And, this is like this whole thing so people don't have to get on the phone. But there are some companies that we work with, and I got to tell you, they don't hide behind the system. They don't hide behind it. A lot of these companies, they hide behind the system. And that's a very, very big problem. So, guys, here's the part of the show I really like. I'm going to give you basically a personal story or a lesson, one for each point. And it's my hope that this is going to ground you. It's going to make you curious. And I'm hoping that that's going to get you to want to take the next steps. Now, those are not easy steps sometimes, but they're steps that can empower you to be, well, pretty powerful, right? So when you can hear something and when you can literally be part of something, like something was a part of my life, you can relate to it because maybe you had a similar situation, and maybe, right? But when I just talk about things and I don't have a personal story to attach it to, it's like, okay, John, that's interesting, but that's not going to happen to me, or I don't see how that's, even relevant to me. But when I share a personal story about how something happened to me, like, oh, wait a minute, this actually happened to me too. Yeah, I know it happened to you too. And so when we say it happened to you too, now it's like, oh, wait a minute. I get where John's coming from on this. And I think that's a very important point, is to know where you're coming from and to know how to take your temperature often. What do I mean by taking your temperature? I mean, like measuring, like what you're doing. What's the results, right? We said what Einstein said a long time ago, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, guys, that is insanity. So why would we keep doing the same things over and over and over again? Well, because we think that's the solution, but really it's not the solution, guys, because we don't get any further. Like we just keep going in this like circle. And although circle sounds like it's a good idea, we don't get anywhere. And so that's why I like to, and I started doing this several months ago, I started impressing upon the fact that, I wanted to give you personal stories from my life so that you could actually relate to what John does and maybe compare that to you in the sense of like, oh yeah, I had it and now I see what he did and I bet I could do the same thing. That's the eureka moment, right? So, as I said, don't hesitate. Okay. Act. Opportunities are fleeting. All right. And I think that's an important point. But a lot of people, for some reason, I don't know, they just don't seem to get that. And I know you're probably saying to me, John, like, this sounds really good, but this won't affect me. And I hear what you're saying. I hear that. But I think when you can see that this is affected, me, and hopefully it affects you, you might say, you know what, John, I see where you're coming from. And now I get like what you're talking about because now you can relate to the situation, right? All right. So here's my first one. Um, as I said, don't hesitate. Years ago, I was offered a chance to speak at a regional tech conference. I wasn't prepared to do it. I hadn't created a deck and frankly felt underqualified at the time compared to other speakers. My first instinct was to say no, but I instead said yes. And I figured it out later. And so that talk led to 3 consulting offers and opened doors I hadn't even imagined existed. I realized then that hesitation isn't just a pause, it's a wall. See, the faster you leap, the faster the world knows you're ready. And when the world knows you're ready, well, then they're going to respond. Speed and perfection. When launching my first side project, I obsessed over the website design for weeks, the colors, the fonts, the wording. Meanwhile, a peer with a similar idea launched his MVP product in 5 days. Guess who had real feedback? Early users and investor interest, while I was still adjusting button styles. That experience taught me that done is better than perfect. You can't refine something that doesn't exist. Speed lets you course correct. The perfection often leaves you behind while everyone else gets way ahead of you. Trust your gut. All right. During a hiring process, I met a candidate whose resume looked perfect and references were stellar, but something didn't feel right to me about them. My gut told me he wouldn't be a culture fit. Against my better judgment, I hired him. And within months, his toxic behavior fractured team morale. That was a painful but pivotal reminder to me. Your intuition is a quiet voice, but it's often right. So data supports decisions, but gut checks keep them aligned with your values and your instincts. And we can't make decisions solely on data. That's what a lot of banks do. That's what a lot of corporate companies do. That's not the right way to run a business. Bold beats cautious. I once pitched a high-profile client with a bold, unconventional strategy that hadn't been tried before. My colleagues advised me to play it safe with this person. When others often hesitate. Oh, and there's another restart of our Focusrite device. So they're definitely having a lot of issues here on Restream here tonight. I'm hoping they're going to fix them, or I think they might even be gone before the end of September. We'll have to see. Opportunities fade fast, guys. A few years back, I came across a piece of property in a developing neighborhood. It was undervalued and something that was screaming good deal. But I hesitated, thinking I needed some more time to research the matter. A week later, it was sold. That lot is now worth 4 times more. That experience stuck with me. Opportunity doesn't wait for your comfort. It knocks once, and if you don't answer, well, then it moves on. If your research is sound and your instinct is strong, move because someone else will. Overthinking kills. I once overanalyzed a product launch, endlessly tweaking, revising, forecasting. By the time we launched, the market had shifted, and our competition had already, well, kind of filled the need. The product never took off. The loss wasn't just financial, it was motivational. I realized then that thinking deeply is useful, but overthinking is paralyzing. Progress favors those who take action. Learn from it and adjust. Don't let mental loops steal your momentum. Decide, guys, and commit. When I left it was a part-time job. It was a government job, and I knew it was going to be temporary. To start my full-time business, I had 2 feet in different worlds for months. I was trying to build while holding on to the safety net. Eventually, I made the tough decision to commit fully. Why? I realized 2 things. One, my business wasn't going to grow by me being there the whole time. And second, the way I was getting treated at that job was not something that I deserved. I made the tough decision to commit fully. I even walked away from a life pension that I was just 2 weeks away from getting for life. Commitment sends a message to the universe, to your team, and to yourself that you're all in. Half decisions get half results. Full commitment drives real success. Inspire with action, guys, you know that. As a team lead, I once noticed morale was slipping. No one was taking initiative. Instead of lecturing or holding a meeting, I decided to lead by doing. I jumped into the trenches, worked side by side with my team, and took ownership of a difficult task. Within days, the energy shifted. People started stepping up without being asked. That moment showed me that action, visible, deliberate action, has magnetic effect, and it inspires more than words ever could. In a moment of desperation during a slow sales quarter, I almost dumped a ton of budget into a random ad campaign. But I paused and asked, is this aligned with our strategy? It wasn't. Instead, I reallocated funds to a customer referral initiative we'd planned but delayed. That single move increased leads by 37%. In 2 months, action is vital, but intention gives it direction. And moving quickly is the key. But make sure you're moving on purpose with true intention. Starting a new podcast was not easy. I spent months outlining themes, guests, and launch plans. Eventually, I realized the perfect plan was a myth. I picked a topic, recorded it, and launched it. The first few episodes were rough, but listener feedback guided improvements. Now the show has thousands of downloads. And you don't need to know the whole road to start walking. Choose a direction, start, and adapt. That's where the real progress comes in, but I think a lot of people are scared about doing that. During a client presentation, the tech team had a slight glitch. The screen froze. The room got awkward. Instead of panicking, I smiled, acknowledged the issue, and presented without slides. And I said, well, I guess we're not in charge of the tech here since, we're just a visitor at the venue. I was calm, and we still closed the deal. It taught me that confidence outweighs anything else. We launched a product update that broke a core feature. At first, we tried to downplay it. That backfired. Then we owned the issue publicly, rolled out a fix within 48 hours. We're a lot more careful now about rolling out fixes and rolling out new features because we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So we're being slow now, and we're also making sure that if we have to get something out quick, we just cut down on the number of features that are going to be released. So we make sure that we don't play a denial game. We play a truth transparency game. After attending a leadership workshop, I was energized by things that are around there, but I was unsure what to do next. Instead of over-planning, I picked one technique daily, team check-ins, and implemented it. Over the next few weeks, communication and morale improved dramatically. That single action created a ripple of growth. Knowledge is only potential. Growth only happens when you move. One step, one habit, one change, it added up so fast. More than I could imagine. And guys, leaders always act first. During a crisis at our workplace, everyone waited for someone else to make the first move, to take a stance. I decided to act, gathered the facts, called a quick huddle, laid out a plan. That momentum sparked others to follow. We solved the issue within hours. And that moment burned in a truth. Leaders aren't the loudest. They're the one when no one else does. It sets the tone, begins with being first to move. I once started writing just 200 words a day for a blog. It seemed small, almost pointless. A year later, I had over 70,000 words, enough for a book draft. That small move done consistently created something big. The magic isn't in big leaps. It's in repeated motion. Small actions create habits. And habits shape outcomes. Never underestimate the power of doing something simple daily. That's how legacies are built, folks. Well, we talked about a lot tonight. And I know the show's going to go out later because we couldn't actually do it live because of Restream's glitches that they're still having. I want to tell you that sometimes doing things like acting decisively can be scary. And you might say, gee, John, what if I fail? You also could say, what if I succeed? I think you have to think of it like I like to say a bristling tea kettle. And now we don't do that anymore. Now we have Insta-Hot. But bristling tea kettles, they boil, but they boil just enough, but they don't overboil. And you want to have that bristle, like I say, of enthusiasm. Enough that gets you wanting to take the step, but not overboard, right? Maybe you're somewhere and you're enthusiastic about something, but you don't let the salesperson know how enthusiastic you really are. I'm like, well, I could be interested in that. You're trying to downplay the fact that you want it because if you play it up too high, they're going to raise the price. So you just put down, well, I don't really need to have it. And then they want to work and do all these deals for you. It's a shame how we have to do that. But when we understand that acting is the most important thing, acting on our gut, not acting is also acting, guys. I don't know if you know that. Not acting is also acting because the fact that you don't act, you're still doing something. You're doing nothing, but you're still doing something. You could have acted. And I think that's a very hard thing for a lot of business owners, salespeople to wrap their head and hands around, is that acting decisively comes from your gut. Being able to be spontaneous in a way that's not rude, that's not abrupt, but yet is under the confines of calculated risk. I think that becomes, the real truth. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed tonight's show about acting decisively. And it follows our master topic series for the week, which is resilience and growth through adversity. Adversity, guys, is just a way of life. And when we embrace adversity, well, we learn a lot. Something that we probably didn't know existed. And that builds our resilience. That shapes our character. That also defines us as a leader. And, other people want to be around people that can handle these types of situations. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am by now. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Please do check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. I'll catch you real soon. Have a great rest of your evening or a good day.